one thing that has become very clear to me is I need a Me-tox. Yes, I said it. A Me-tox. I need to identify things in my life that I've made normalized, but that drain me. I did the Foundation of Light quiz that I released today, y'all, and I was not surprised that I am pillar C when it comes to boundaries and relationships. And most of the drain, right? Because I identified the cycle I see is that I get drained. I'm an empath. I'm very intuitive. I feel others. I want to help people. That has opened me up to a lot of parasites, a lot of predators who want my energy. So guess what? I am going to do a Me-tox as soon as possible. All my life, I've and especially the older I got, it became about self-discipline, like the inner alignment. It started with controlling my bubbles, is what I call it for my kids. I explained it to my kids as bubbles, but not letting my emotions, my the habits, the cycles, the mindset impact me where I did not have control over myself. So my emotional regulation. And now that I'm at this point, I realize it's not just about the self-discipline, it's about my tolerance to certain things. My tolerance for people who do not water me, for people that drain my energy, the people that disrupt my peace and take my joy. But for me, that is a Me-tox. And it's like, I know I can't change myself overnight. I have to choose one thing that I know I need to focus on. So that one thing that I can remove my life to give me peace. And I'm happy to report out that I have done that one thing already within the last month or and a half. And guess what? I'm very peaceful. Very peaceful for that. But I need to continue to do that because I don't want to repeat the same cycle, y'all. I don't want to be in pillar C of the Foundation of Light. That's just my first pillar that I'm starting at. But I want to address, my home environment. And I want to focus on my descent to extension arc. And I want to keep growing. I want to keep moving. But in order to do so, I need to tackle, identify, understand, and then start doing things with intention to make sure I don't keep repeating this pattern of people draining my energy. I also realized that it is okay to love the version of me that didn't know better. I've been looking at the last 12 years and reflecting on it. I was very upset over the last weekend, certain decisions I've made, how I didn't stand up for myself, how I didn't love myself. Really self-betrayal that brought a lot of anger toward myself. How could I betray myself so much? How could I betray my loyalty to my family so much? But I'm learning how to forgive myself, and I'm learning how to accept that version of me is what was the version that it was in that particular journey. And had I not gone through those experiences, I could not have learned and understood what I know now, which is helping me to elevate. So everything has a meaning and a purpose. And so I can ascend and still love that version of me without shaming that version of me. And with that in mind, I am going to really establish some rules for myself, which is one of them is, if it's draining me more than helping me in my development, it's gonna have to go. If I'm having to over-explain myself in conversation with people so that they can understand me or they can accept me or love me for who I am, probably not the best use of my energy. If I have to convince someone to love me in the way that they should know how to love me because they're in alignment with me, probably should definitely move on. And if I am at a place and I'm contributing and it's not being recognized or acknowledged, and I am not getting uplifted, then I should probably think about, I should at least ask questions. Is this source aligned? Is this aligned with my highest timeline? And is it rooted in truth? Because if it isn't, then no matter what I put into it, the output isn't gonna be where I want it to be. And I think that's the critical thing that I've realized, which is we can put all of our best ambition, intention, and energy to achieve what we would like. But if it is not a part of the greater design of God's plan for your life, because God has a higher view and picture, right, of our highest path and timeline, and so does our higher self, then no matter how much will we're putting into something, it can only go so far before it's cut off and we get corrected, right? Because that's how God works. God works to correct. God does not want to punish us. God wants us to recalibrate and correct. That's a part of the accountability. And that's something big I was reflecting on this weekend. And I was not okay, y'all, for a second, but I'm better now, because I realized, just partially from doing my timeline jumping, like, we have to root in God and then truth, and then everything will be multiplied. We have to be grounded and rooted in who we are. And so we have to recognize that. We have to understand, like, you can have all the best intentions and will, but if you're not in alignment for your highest timeline, you will notice it. You will have all kinds of resistance. Your peace will be, in jeopardy. You probably will not really be joyful, and there'll be all kinds of conflict and delays. That's your proof. Your peace is your proof. So it doesn't matter how truthful you are, how well-intentioned you are, how much will, how much hard work. You will see if you're not on your right timeline or path, y'all. And in the past, I have seen that. And I ignored it because I wanted what I wanted and envision of what I wanted. And I couldn't allow myself to get outside of that box of what I saw. And just surrendering and really trusting God that whatever was coming next, that the Most High God had for me, would be what I desired, but better than what I could have ever imagined. And probably the biggest thing that I have realized when thinking about the much needed Me-tox, I have got to act like I am a VIP when it comes to my energy and access. Not everyone can come close to me, especially not within my personal space, especially not within my energy field. I can continue to help people, but I have got to have boundaries that are firm. I have to be selectful about who I help and how I help them. Help from too, because a lot of people will help you just to use it to control you, honestly. And I have to limit access to everyone. And I know that I will continue to make myself available to teach and to learn with all of you, but I will be restricting access because I see this as a much needed Me-tox and best practice moving forward to really help myself grow. And to protect myself. I hope that this message is helpful. I hope that me sharing what I'm going through helps you think about if you need a Me-tox. And if so, what can you do? Vel'nari Sha'kai. Peace.